Hello and welcome to Purple Pie Studios. So it's almost the end of this year, and in this special occasion I have made this short animation clip on New Year. And in this video I want to share the entire process breakdown of this animation project. So let's start. Like any other artworks, I started this animation project with conceptualizing. Through this animation, I wanted to illustrate the idea that currently we are at the end of this year, and right now we are having the flashback of all the events that happened throughout the year. And right now we are at the end of this tunnel and we are at the very final moment, and in a countdown of 3, 2 and 1, we are in New Year 2023. Now that I know that what I want to animate, then I created my word tree taking words from the animation description. So I noted down the words and then picked those words and searched it up on Google and did some research on it. I even checked out my own Pinterest page, so I got inspired from this infinity tunnel animation that I created earlier, and there is another animation of geometric shapes transition. So I wanted to create something only using the basic shapes. Now that I have so many visual ideas, I then started doing some rough sketches. So for the rough sketch stage, here I used Photoshop and I was doing some thumbnail drawings for each of the frames of the animation. At this stage itself, I was thinking of how the transitions from one frame to other is going to happen, and also the other detailing that I want to add in the animation, so that I don't have to backtrack when I am doing the final animation in After Effects and then get back to the idea stage and then I can rethink of some different ideas. So to avoid all this, I was planning the entire animation in this rough sketch stage itself. Now I jumped into Adobe Illustrator to start with the final illustration. So in Illustrator, I only use the basic geometric shapes to do all the illustrations for this project. And in the stage itself, I was doing the storyboarding process. So I was illustrating all the individual frames of the animation. Now for the color palettes, I took some references from the Adobe Color website and tried out different color palettes, and this is the custom color palette that I finalized with. And here is my final storyboard for this animation project. Now the stage is set for the final production. In this animation, there are lots of fast and snappy movements, so it was very important to first work on the timing and make it perfect. So my initial approach was to first work on a single shape and make the timing and the motion perfect, and then add more elements and animation based on the timing. For example, for this eye blink animation, my initial approach was to first work on the eye white animation, make the timing perfect, and then animate the retina and the other shapes based on the timing. And after animating the pupil and the other elements inside the retina, I used simple track mattes with the eye white layer. Now throughout this animation, you can notice that the movements are very fast and snappy. Even when it appears to be stopping, the objects are not completely stopping. There are some slow movements at that point of time as well. So now I am going to show you some After Effects tricks to achieve a smooth transition from fast movement to slow movement. So here are two different examples that I'm going to show. One with the value graph and another one with the speed graph. So here is the first one with the value graph. Now let's select keyframes and easy as 8 and go to the motion graph editor. And here we're going to select the value graph, and at this point it is going to have a very slow movement, and here it is going to have a fast movement because it is bouncing. Now I'm going to pull the Bezier handles and make it like this. Select this keyframe and I'm going to change it to Auto Bezier by clicking over here. And here again I'm going to pull the Bezier handles to increase the ease. Now here is the trick. If you make the Bezier handles completely flat, like if you press the shift key and hold it and pull the Bezier handles, it is going to be completely flat. But if you make it very little inclined like this, then it is not going to stop at this point. But if you make the bezier handles completely flat, it is going to stop at this particular point. Now, if you check the animation, here you can see at this point, it has a very slow movement. It's not completely stopping. Now let's check out the speed graph example. So for that, this circle is moving in a circle and we're going to select the keyframes and press F9 to erase the keyframes. Let's jump onto the graph editor and this time I'm going to select the speed graph. At this particular point, the ball is going to have a very slow movement and at this point, it is going to have fast movements. So I'm going to select this keyframe and convert it into the auto bezier. Now here is the trick for the speed graph. For the speed graph, this line is the 0. If the keyframe is touching at this point, that means at this point, it is completely stopping. The speed is completely 0. If you put it somewhere around here, then it is going to have speed near to 0 but not completely 0. And if you increase the height, then it is going to increase the speed at that particular point. But here we need a very slow movement. So I'm going to keep the keyframes near to this line, and here for this keyframe I'm going to pull it and put it above somewhere around here. Same with this one. And we're going to pull the bezier handles to increase the ease, and then we're going to decrease the ease at these points, and here is the final result. Now let's check out this tunnel animation. Now after the eye blinks, the eye transitions into a tunnel of shapes. Each shape represents the events happened throughout the year. So after the eye blink, I have animated the squares scale and the rotation property manually, and also this square is used as a track matte, alpha track matte with the retina layer, and here there is the retina animation happening as well with the shape path property, and this retina is also scaling up with this null. Here there is another null object, but the scale up of this retina is a lot slower than the scale up of each of the shapes that are inside the tunnel. Now after the square, here there are other shapes. I have manually simply scaled it up and added the rotation property in the opposite direction like this. After this, there is the next circle which is scaling up with the same timing. After that, I have added another square. I have simply duplicated this layer and put it over here, but I have changed the direction of the rotation for this one. So I wanted each of the squares to rotate in the opposite direction. Now after the square, there is again another circle scale up happening, and here we are inside the loop. Now after this, there is another square which is the white square and filling up the entire screen to give this white color's background. After the shape animation of the tunnel was done, I have added an adjustment layer and added an effect called the bulge effect, which gives this magnifying effect over here. Now for the bulge effect, if you want to use it, you have to change the value of this horizontal radius and the vertical radius. So with it, you can make the bulge either completely circular or even slightly elliptical like I have done over here, but you can even go further this way or this way depending on the style of the bulge you want to create. Also, if you want to increase the effect, then you can change the bulge height. Right now it's 1.6. If we increase it to 5, it is going to have a lot more magnifying effect, but it's not looking good for this one. So I'm going to go with 1.6. Now let's check out this countdown animation. So for this countdown animation, to get a smooth transition from circle to square and then back to circle, I have used a layer property called round corners. Here in the ad, you can find the round corners. So I have used the value of the radius to change the roundness of each of the corners. So if you give it completely 0, it is going to have sharp corners, and then if you again increase it to more than 400 or 420 or 30, it is going to be a circle if you are applying this effect on a square. Now to animate the number change for this countdown, I have added a match cut. So I have parented this number layer with the background circle layer. For this one, there is a rotation. In between the motion, I have split the layer from one number to the another number. And then again, when it's rotating, I have splitted this number with this number. And this number layers are parented with this background circle. Now let's check out the final animation. So after the countdown, this circle scales down and then scales up to cover the whole screen. With this scale up motion, I have added a line burst effect over here. And here with the burst effect, you can see it has multicolor. One with this background color and another one with a white color that is overlapping with this dark color background. So for that I have two different layers. One is this white color burst and another one with this dark color fill. Now after this burst, this text is also popping up with the same motion from the center. So for the text, I have added basic position and scale and rotation keyframes to animate it. So I have scattered all the letters with few frames of offset between each of the letters to add some variation and randomness to this burst effect. And after that, it is settling down, and here at the end I have added a squash and stretch. Now once the New Year letter settles down, with this New Year impact, these 2023 letters are coming down, and here the motions are same, but for this one there is no rotation. I have only added scale and the position keyframes in the y-axis. And when this 2023 is settling down, these background elements are revealing from under the screen. And after everything settles down, there are some fireworks. Now let's check out the firework animation. So for the firework, first I animated this fire tail. So for this tail, I have added a stroke and then modified the stroke with the tapered values. So I have give the start length 100%, the end length as 0%. And after that, I have animated the layer in y-axis. So for the firework, I have added a trim path on a stroke layer and then animated the start and the end value. So after animating one line stroke, I have duplicated this layer multiple times and repeated the process until I get a complete circle. And here is the firework. Now you can even use repeaters in shape layers to animate something like this, but if you add a repeater for this one, then you cannot offset these layers to get some variation in the firework, which I wanted for this animation. And that's the thorough breakdown of how I created this animation project. And now if you want to learn how to animate the firework in complete details, then I have a separate tutorial on it. You can check it out. I will be providing the link in the description. Alright, so that is it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button. If you have any doubt regarding the techniques, then make sure to comment down below. I would be happy to help you out. And if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe the channel and hit the bell notification button to stay notified for all future updates.